Hello everyone and welcome back to my English channel. For today's video we are talking about Dimir Terror. In the previous we played Mono Blue Terror and we discussed in the intro why it is better Mono Blue. So I choose to play Dimir, the Dimir variant, to showcase why Dimir could be better against specific decks or specific strategies, while Mono Blue is still probably the best Mono Blue, the best terror deck. But in my opinion, Dimir can also be a very powerful deck if you know which decks are you going to face, or if you just want to have more cards in the mirror match. After all, Dimir Terror is well placed against Mono Blue Terror and also against Izzet Terror, so you can see that it is probably worse in an open metagame, but better in a specific metagame, especially when there are a lot of copies of Mono Blue Terror, or you're expecting to face a lot of Terror deck or Furious deck. Even though every Terror deck is probably bad against Mono Blue Furies or other Furious variants, maybe the Izzet deck is not really bad against Furious, but you know, Izzet isn't really a Terror deck, it's more like an Izzet control or an Izzet mid-range, or whatever you want to call it, with Tron Terror and a large amount of removal spells and mass removal even in the main deck. Today we are talking about Dimir Terror because is the second Terror deck, is the second most played Terror deck, and is also a deck that I have played a lot, and I have also recorded a lot of videos in my Italian channel. So for that reason, I wanted to show you this specific archetype even though with yeah, I played a very similar deck last week. So I think we need to figure out first thing, why playing Dimir over Mono Blue, and also which version of Dimir playing. So Sneaky Snacker, yes or not, Dimir, which creatures, and of course why Snuff Out, unexpected things, and whatever removal spell you can play in the deck. So first of all, the main reason to play Dimir is Snuff Out. So when you are playing Dimir Terror over Mono Blue, the main reason is to have a removal spell that doesn't cost mana, and it is very strong against very specific decks. An example was Fire, was Combo, Fairies, Gruul, Elves, so a large amount of decks. Yep, even Terror. So you can say that Snuff Out is a very strong card because, you know, it's probably the best removal spell in the black color. To be honest, right now Snuff Out is not really strong because we have a lot of bird decks in the format, and also the card is very weak against Affinity. So killing one Mirror Force doesn't really do much. Killing one Gutter Snipe or one Goblin Tomb Rider don't really help you a lot. But if you are playing against a deck playing Avenging Hunter or Arbor Elf, Snuff Out is especially strong. In my opinion, Mono Blue, as I already said, is better in a very specific metagame. No, I'm sorry, Dimmer is better in a specific metagame, while Mono Blue in a larger metagame is probably more favored because, you know, it's more proactive. So by being proactive, you just say, yeah, I don't care about what you are playing, because if I'm good enough, if I have enough luck, I can just outrace you and kill you with my Delva and Terror and Cryptic Serpents. Alright, so after discussing why playing Snuff Out, I think we need to figure out if we also need to play Sneaky Snacker or not. To be honest, the main reason to play Snacker is to have a better late game. Sneaky Snacker is a very strong card if you are able to grind out your opponent. The card is probably also very strong in the mirror match because it's a an recursive threat, also recursive charm blocker, so that can help you slow down your opponent. But to be honest, the Sneaky Snacker is not really strong in Dimir. It's not really strong at all in any blue-based deck, to be honest. Snacker is very strong alongside card Grab the Prize, Vital's Looting, or the Blood tokens, but in blue-based decks, Snacker is just bad. I mean, after all, you don't really want to cast the Snacker, you prefer to discard it and then reanimate it with cards like Brainstorm or whatever. Also alongside cards like the Monarch, so Tron of the Black Rose, the card is good. So you can say Snacker is good in Dimir Snacker, so the control or mid-range deck that plays the Modern Age, Sneaky Snacker, the Monarch, and eventually also Space Starter Sprite. But in Terror doesn't really do much for your gameplay because, you know, as I wanted to say, Terror is probably better. I mean, the Dimir Terror deck is probably better as Mono Blue splashing black for Snuff Out. So, still having a very aggro-oriented deck is probably the key to play the deck. Since, you know, grinding out your opponent when your opponent is jammed Wildfire or Resist Affinity is very tough. I mean, after all, you don't really have a lot of card advantage. Yeah, you can play Deep Analysis, you also play 4 copies of Lorien Revealed, but beside those cards, you don't really grind out your opponent. So most times your gameplay is just lambing your Tolarian Terrors and Gurmaganglers, and then after you have dealt with your opponent interaction, you prefer to keep a lower amount of card advantage, just to say 2 to 3 copies of Deep Analysis, to keep your card flow in hand, so you are able to eventually overcome your opponent interaction and went back in the game. So you use your card advantage to dig for extra creatures and extra interaction to just keep the game on. So you don't really want to waste your resources on your opponent card advantage. You prefer to keep your opponent from playing the game or to kill your opponent before they start playing the game. So maybe that's also a reason why Mono Blue Terror is better than Nimir, because you are not really wasting any card on removals like Snuff Out. You have cards like Boomerang or Dimir Terror to interact with your opponent permanents, which are not really great removal spells, but are somewhat better. I mean, yeah, you have a better mana. You have better mana. Better you have better lands because when you play mono blue, all your lands are untapped, while when you play dimmer, your lands are tapped. You have at least 5 dual lands, and also you have Lorien Revealed. So you are kind of wasting one turn just to have the black source, the black mana source. But to be honest, Snuff Out, since it doesn't cost mana, it is more or less 1 mana removal spell. When you fetch your in your opponent end of turn with Lorien Revealed and play in your turn the Contaminated Aquifer or the Ice Tunnel. Alright, I think saying you prefer to still have a decent aggro gameplay is the main reason to play a lot of creatures, is the main reason to not play Mystic in the main deck or Tron of the Black Rose or even Sneaky Snacker. But it's also important to note how many creatures you want to play and which creatures you are still prefer having some other creatures. In this deck list, I'm playing 4 copies of Dimir Terror, 4 copies of Cryptic Serpent, and 2 copies of Gourmag Angler. To be honest, when the deck was born, Cryptic Serpent wasn't common yet, so it was easier to choose which creature you wanted to play. So 4 copies of Terror, 4 copies of Gourmag Angler, but Angler isn't really the best creature you can play in the deck because Delve is a kind of not a really good mechanic, not a very good alternative cost in this deck. Yeah, you can exile even non-instant or non-sorcery spell, but it forces you to slow down your gameplay. I mean, you don't really want to draw more than 2 copies of Gourmag Angler in your game, because whenever you cast a Gourmag Angler, if you aren't in the late game, or rather if you weren't able to land already enough copies of Tron Terror and Cryptic Serpent, you're slowing down your next creatures. Especially if you don't have enough card manipulation or enough Totsukawas and mental note after casting the Gourmag Angler. So it's kind of a tricky card. And for that reason, when Cryptic Serpent was spoiled at first, Dimir was still a deck, and we decided to play Dimir with 8 copies, 8 blue serpents, and 2 copies of Gourmag Angler. You can split the Cryptic Serpent and Gourmag Angler, basically, but usually you prefer to play more copies of Cryptic Serpent for this specific reason. I think we can compare Dimir Terror in this aspect to Mono Terror as a deck that doesn't play Delver, but still is fast enough compared to Mono Terror thanks to the presence of Snuff Out, because Snuff Out let you speed up your creature. So it is a 0 mana removal spell. So even though you don't have a turn 1 Delver of Secrets, you still are able to cast Gourmag Angler or the other creatures by turn 3 or turn 4 thanks to cards like Snuff Out. Also, Delver of Secrets is really great against a lot of stuff in the current meta game. If you were able to see my previous video, you know Delver isn't really great against red-based decks or against refurbished familiars or Written Chrysalis decks. So against those cards or against those decks, you usually burn out your Delver of Secrets. So another reason to play more 5/5 creatures is to be able to have better creatures against those decks that play very troublesome blockers, or those decks they have interaction for your Delver of Secrets. An example, Lightning Bolt, or an example, Refurbished Familiar. I think we can also say that being able to play black spells let you play cards like Unexpected Thanks, a very strong alternative to Hydroblast against burn decks and also against aggressive decks, and also mass rivals. An example, Echoing Decay, or even Suffocating Fumes and Arms of Other. A lot of people, when it comes to Dimir Terror, they want to play Suffocating Fumes in the main deck. I don't think Fumes is good right now, but you can play Echoing Decay, and I think Decay is a decent card. After all, you can kill both Sneaky Snaker and also cards like Guilty Snipe. So in my opinion, Decay is still a decent card. Also, it costs 1 less mana. Not being able to cycle the card doesn't really match most times because you don't probably against aggressive strategies you're not going so you're not going really easily in the late game. You are going to lose or win the game earlier. The K is probably stronger against specific strategies and against specific cards. In example, Battle Scratch, maybe, or yeah, non-token creatures, generally speaking. And the card is probably more versatile. It's probably Mm, Worse if you just want to play in a very large environment, in a very large metagame, but probably if you don't know what you are going to face, it's probably better to play mono blue. We're still going to play False Spike and Deep Analysis in this Decklist, but as you can see, I'm not playing the fourth 1 mana counter spell because we are playing Equine Decay. More or less, the deck is very similar to the mono blue terror deck I played in the previous video, but because I kind of like playing this deck in this specific way. I concur, it is probably not the best setup for this deck, but I still think that Deep Analysis is strong, especially if I'm expecting to face decks like Giant Wildfire or Mono Blue Terror. My opinion, the deck is still strong. Probably it's not strong as Mono Blue Terror, but I wanted to show you the deck. Eventually, I'll show you Isotero so we can understand more or less what are the strong points of every tarot deck is being played in the format. I guess we can play eventually Azorius Tarot and Semi-Terror, but to be honest, those decks doesn't really exist, so maybe just to have fun, we can try to build those decks. Alright, so let's talk about the sideboard. Just a few minutes to try to show you why these cards could be really relevant or important. So as you can see, we are playing a larger amount of different cards compared to mono blue. So just 4 copies of Hydroblast and just 4 copies of Anno, no Steel Sabotage, no Blue Elemental Blast, mostly because we prefer to make some room for other kind of interaction, like Nihil Spellbomb, Cast Down, Unexpected Things. So Mystic is still a good card against the Terror, Fairies, whatever. Cast Down is a decent alternative to Snuff Out against red-based decks, but also it may be relevant against green-based decks. So yeah, you can play Terror, Dimir Terror as a way to play a more control-ish deck against green-based decks. So you have a better you still have a decent early game, but you also have a better late game thanks to Cast Down and Snuff Out. Also another copy of Unexpected Fangs. More or less, Fangs is another copy of Hydroblast that let you survive if your opponent were able to resolve enough or remove spells, enough burn spells, I mean, in the early game. So Fangs is very strong on Gurmag Angler and Tolarian Tail against those decks. Not very much on Cryptic Serpent because Cryptic Serpent dries to Pyroblast, but still good. And Nihil Spellbomb as a way to have an answer, a better answer to Wall's combo, Spy combo, and also a way to slow down and to stop your opponent with Sleep of the Dead. So, Mono Blue Tail. Dimir Spellbomb is probably worse against Spy compared to cards like Coughing Purge or Rotten Reunion, but against Mono Blue Terror is much better because it's a card that you are able to play as a sorcery speed during your turn, and then you can crack it whenever you want. So it's a sort of proactive way to exile your opponent's graveyard. So very strong against Terror, in my opinion. I think we talked enough about this sideboard. I'm not playing so many copies of Annual and Hydroblast because I think it's not really worth when you don't really know what you are expecting. On Magic Online these days, the meta is very large. You can expect a large variety of decks, but you are also expecting a large amount of mono blue decks. So mono blue Terror and Mono Fairies. So for that reason, I chose to not play too many copies of Hydroblast and Annual for this video. In my opinion, Dimir can be stronger than Mono Blue Terror against decks like Giant Wildfire or Fairies and of course Mono Blue Terror, but also against Spy Combo, and Spy Combo is a very problematic deck to face when you're playing Mono Blue Terror because you don't really have any way to kill their Overgrowth Battlement or the Innocent, or to excite the graveyard without playing Tormod's Crypt. But the High Spellbomb is better than Tormod's Crypt because it keeps the amount of cards you have in hand the same as when you play it. In my opinion, the weak part about Dimir Terror is not knowing how to build a deck. Because compared to Mono Blue Terror, you more or less know what you want to play, both in the main deck and in the sideboard. So the inferior, more or less, you want to play at least 3 copies. You want to play at least 2 copies of Sleep of the Dead, considering both the main deck and the sideboard. You want to play 12 creatures. Well, you can eventually cut the Delver of Secrets to have more answers in the main deck, but still, it's just a choice between cutting Delver to slot more removals rather than cutting Delver to add other creatures. So also the sideboard is more or less just 7 copies of Anmo and 7 copies of Hydroblast, so not much choice. Here you need to consider the metagame. So if you don't know what metagame you are going to play into, probably Dimir Terror is worse than Mono Blue. Mono Blue is just more straightforward in that aspect. So yeah, we wasted over 20 minutes just to talk about this deck. Hope, yeah, it's a lot of time. So enjoy your video. All right, for the first match, we are against Pole 16. We are starting second, and we keep 7 cards, and I think the starting end is decent. We need to choose between casting first Island or I thought Tron probably. Yeah, I think we're probably going to play first the contaminated aquifer. So next turn we can go Brainstorm Ponder. We can shuffle in the deck Unexpected Thanks and Snuff Out. Losing the mana in the first turn is not really an issue because we don't have in hand Mental Note. So we are entirely free to shuffle 2 cards if we cast Brainstorm in the first turn. So we go Brainstorm. Force Spike is pretty much useless here, but I think it is still good enough. I mean, we can put Snuff Out and Unexpected Thanks on the top deck, play Island. You don't really cast the lands, and then we pass the turn because we have Mental Note. So we cast Mental Note. Oh, should I cast Force Spike on Expedition Map? Probably not. Because if we cast the Force Spike, we are able to then cast Mental Note. Oh well, if you cast double Expedition Map, unless you have a Pejuki Bog in hand, I think it is worth to cast my Force Spike on your Expedition Map. Yep, they missed 1 land drop, so it is good to counter the second copy of Expedition Map. So we go for Mental Note, draw 1 card with Mental Note, draw a card per turn, and then we have enough cards in the graveyard to cast Cryptic Serpent. Alright, so your turn, opponent, and then we'll go for Brainstorm, try to find some creature. Yeah, as usual, I guess. Malevolent Rumble, pick the Uza Tower. Lorien reveal it on the top deck. I think it is better to cast Ponder first because we have a shuffle effect with the Brainstorm, so we can dig more with the Brainstorm. So now we shuffle, we draw the Snuff Out, cast and Brainstorm. Another Couple dead card. Okay, now we have a choice. We can kill the Eldrazi Spawn, but doesn't really do much. Maybe we should keep the Snuff Out. I think they're going to block and crack the Expedition Map. So Snuff Out here is just 6 damage on the face. Then they get back 3 lives, Candy Trail. So if we attack with the Serpent, they don't block, they go down to 14, then we have the Cryptic Serpent. Now we can attack for 12 damage. They get back 3 life, so instead of being at 13, have 17 life. And we still have 2 turns to kill them. If we don't cast the Snuff Out on the Eldrazi Spoon, they have 23 life. Yeah, there's not much of an advantage casting Snuff Out here. I think we can keep the Snuff Out to eventually kill another blocker. The next turn, or maybe another turn as well, we can eventually kill. Yeah, I think a Golem from the Foundry. They pick the User Power Plant. Now we cast the Crippled Serpent and we pass the turn. To be honest, Alta is not a good matchup for whatever version of Terror you're playing. After all, they have more mana. They have very troublesome card like Pactal Terror, yeah. They also have Golem Foundry, Bazooka Bug, a lot of cards, to be honest. So now they drain a bunch of life. We have 2 dead cards on the top deck. Temporal Intervention. Okay. If they discard the DeLorean, that would be really awful. But if they discard the Brainstorm, I'm going to cast the DeLorean Reveal it. Yeah, that's fine. So I draw 3 cards. I have a land drop on the top deck. I wasn't expecting the Temporal Intervention. I guess the card is good if you try to play mid-range-ish gameplay. With attack, that's 12 damage. That's fine to me. We cast the Lauren. Right, there's a counter spell. We pass the turn. Passionate Altar. First Mirror Trigger. Do you have the second copy of Mirror Trigger? If they have it, we lose the game. There's not even a payoff to cast Snuff Out getting their Mirror Trigger because yeah, they are going to block, but then they add mana, sacrifice the Candy Trail, so they go up to 19 life. Well, that's a very dire situation. Totsukawa. I don't know if I should cast my Totsukawa targeting them because they may be able to mill one Mirror Trigger. It's not really a good choice. So I think I'm going to play my land, attack, that's 12 damage. Snuff Out is very bad against them, but post sideboard maybe it can become good since they're likely going to add Fangre Marauder. They bring back the Candy Trail, crack the Candy Trail, the battlefield. I think I'm going to cast Tsukawa because I now have enough interaction, so even if they have a Mirror Trigger, we can counter it. Candy Trail, Chromatic Star, another Lorien Revealed. I already played my land, so I'm passing the turn. So now we have 2 turns, 2 clocks, more or less. Candy Trail, that's kind of fine. I mean, we don't really have any interaction to the Pactal Terror, so in the post-sideboard game, we are forced to bring in Castdown as well, because you know you don't really want to lose to this creature. Now they dealing a lot of damage to us thanks to this creature, so they can just not interact with my creature, don't block anything beside with the Mirror Trigger. Every artifact they cast is a gut shot on my face, or yeah, a gut shot that also gets back 1 life, so very annoying. Right, just 1 card in hand. Another Mirror Trigger, no thank you. keep your creatures in the graveyard, not on the battlefield. They attack. Why did you block me on the upkeep? Are you going to crack the star? That's cover. No reason to mill me, because even if I mill one deep analysis, I'm not going to cast it from the graveyard. I mean, I'm not going to lose free life. Okay, there's deep analysis. There is deep analysis. I'm casting my deep analysis because I think I want to draw yikes something. I'm kind of forced to attack with just one copy of Cryptic Serpent. If I attack with bot creatures, if they draw 3 artifacts, I'm dead. I mean, after all, they can draw 2 cards with the Chromatic Star and the Candy Trail. Yeah, I have an Ancient Stirrings. Reveals Candy Trail. But can't really do much here. Yeah. We get back 4 lives. That's a lot. I got 1 damage. Yeah. We draw 1 card. 2 bottom. Alright. We have another Mirror Trigger. The crack with a star. At green. They play the tower. Pass the turn. Okay, that's fine to me. Another Lawyer Reveal It. Alright, I guess is this the time to cast Lawyer Reveal It? I think Snuff Out is better in the graveyard in the game 1. After all, we're not really doing much with Snuff Out against black creature. So probably it is better to draw better. Yeah, sure. Go on, cast Golden Foundry. I don't have anything in my hand. Well, seems like they don't have anything as well. Another Terror is fine. I mean, I can attack with both my Cryptic Serpent. Wow. I'm going to swing for 12 damage. They're forced to block with the Pactal Terror. That's cool. Okay. So maybe he have an out here. He killed the Terror. Play 1 land. Play the Cryptic Serpent. Play the Tron Terror. Pass the turn. So now they need to draw me a Retriever or another Pactal Terror. Surprisingly, I won game 1. Right, so my opponent wasn't lucky as me, and now we have enough cards against them, I suppose. So we brought out the Coin the Key and Snuff Out, which are pretty much dead cards in this matchup. And we're also going to bring in Cast Down. I think Cast Down is good because we can kill the Pactal Terror and also the Fangre Marauder if they have it. I think I don't really need Unexpected Fangs. I need to cut another card. So I think this spell is not really what. I mean, this spell is good to counter Visualizer Insight, the Vampire Blast if they have it. But to be honest, I don't know if I need to respect Fire Blast, especially since they have the Edge of Eternity's Tuxide, so I prefer to keep a Force Spike, even though Force Spike is not good against the Tron deck. Yeah, same to Spell Pierce, but Spell Pierce is probably better. But to be honest, a 1 mana chip interaction is especially good in the early game. Maybe. Oh, wow, that's really weird starting end. We have a Terror, we have Mental Note, and Tsukawa. Maybe we should keep it because eventually we don't have interaction with early game to learn Terror against a very odd matchup. So if they don't have any heal spellable in the early game, wow, double deep analysis. I think deep analysis is supposed to be in my graveyard and not in my hand. Alright, so they played around for a spike. Now we go mental note. Mill 2 lands, maybe. Brainstorm and mental note. No good. Carpet Serpent. Tutkawa. Island and Tutkawa. I need... No! I need one extra spell in my graveyard to cast my Tolerant Terror. Just for one card I wasn't able to cast Terror. They don't have Bojuka Boy in their deck because they have not cracked the map to bring the bug. Now they have a Brainstorm, so Terror costs just 2 mana. Okay, double deep analysis on my top deck. Island, Terror, Terror. Now we have a game plan. You have a plan. That's the aggro game plan. I cracked the expedition map, slippery cost. Okay, so I guess they already have the color, and then they just waited for me to tap expedition map, crack the map, swamp. They don't have Pyroblast, maybe, their deck. Play Forest, cast Ancient Stirrings, Energy Refractor. So in hand they have Swamp and Energy Refractor. They cast the Energy Refractor, tap 2 mana, Mirror Trigger. I cast my Tutskawa, my upkeep mill to deep analysis. That's cool, that's really cool. Draw and have Spellbomb here. I think even if you waste the card from a heal Spellbomb, it's good. You can crack the deep analysis. I mean, we cast the flashback deep analysis. Cast Island. Cast Nihil Spellbomb. I'm attacking with my Tails. And then I'm likely going to crack the Nihil Spellbomb if I want to block with a Merchua. They don't block. Alright, so unless they have the... What do we have? 1 black mana. 2 colorless. Temporal intervention, that's fine. I don't really have any relevant cards in my hand. You can discard cast down or mental note. They're likely going to discard mental note. Poggers. Wow. 3 mana. Concealed. That's sweet. Seems like the matchup is much more favorable compared to what I predicted. Or maybe it's just a matter on landing Torrential in the early game. Yeah, turn 3 double Torrential was a very good start, and deep analysis is better in the graveyard rather than in the hand. But still, casting deep analysis from your end is good when you don't want to lose life. Easy peasy. After an unexpected result in the first match, we are now starting first the second one, and we have now a kind of decent starting hand. So what are we going to do here? I think we are still casting Brainstorm. To be honest, I think that casting Brainstorm here over Ponder may be better, but well, it is also true that we need to find the second land. We have the Ponder. Hey, that's cool. So the opponent is turn 1 island. Tube 1618 usually plays only combo, so I think it is safe to assume that the opponent is on high tide because I already saw the opponent playing high tide, so I am assuming it is better to shuffle the Snuff Out. We have a contaminated aquifer and double Snuff Out. I think that's an easy shuffle for us. Yep, shuffle. Contaminated Archifair, okay. I'm still keeping the mana open to cast Force Spike on Merchant Scroll. Brainstorm. I'm not sure if it is wise to cast this spell on the Brainstorm, but since the opponent is very likely on Tide, I think it is safe counter because we are expecting the opponent to maybe not have Merchant Scroll on turn 2. So we cast this spell, accelerating the Cryptic Serpent, draw one card, 3 cards in the graveyard. So Terror and Cryptic Serpent cost 4 mana. We draw a bunch of counter spells, which is good. Now our creature costs just 3 mana. So I think I'm going to put 2 lands on the top and play Contaminated Aquifer. So next turn we have an untapped land. We can play Terror and eventually the Cryptic Serpent. We play Island, right? Pieces of the puzzle. Don't mind if I force spike. Right, my creatures cost just 2 mana. They have 5 cards in hand. I have a land on the top deck, so I think it is safe to assume that I can cast just the Cryptic Serpent. Maybe it is better to respect the opponent having the combo by turn 4. We played this spell on Brainstorm, but then they had brought Preordain and PCs. They have the 5th land drop. Now we attack. The Tron Terror costs 2 mana, but to be honest, I believe we can cast the Tolarian Terror. So unless they have Gigadros here, it is safe to assume that casting Terror it helps our game plan because they did not try to combo off. Reach through me is tapping my Aquifer, that's fine. Or I should tap it the... okay, they cast the Reach to Mist during my main phase, so now they can cast another Reach eventually. Alright, 4 cards in end. I think I'm going to cast Pulse Spike on Reach, so if they have the combo, they need 1 extra card. I mean, we know the Psychic Puppetry and they're likely to have an Tide, so we let the first Tide resolve the cast Reach. Okay, that's fine. Not trying to combo off yet, I guess. Play Island. Cast the turn. Now have 2 turns to kill them. Totsukawa. Okay. I attack. No reason to cast yet Totsukawa. I don't really want to cast Unexpected Find if I find it. I guess can still cast Totsukawa, trying to find an unexpected, deep analysis here. Not deep analysis, we mill Snuff Out and reveal it. I think unless they have Gigatros, but they had no Gigatros this previous turn, it is safe to cast the turn. No reason to cast the Gourmet Gangler, mostly because we already have Lethal. If they want to kill me, and yes, I'm bound. Okay. I suppose you don't have the combo if they're casting the ideas of bound first. So since they don't have the high tide, I think it is better to cast the counter spell on the EDS Unbound, preventing them to draw enough resources to eventually combo off. Now they need high tide and another card, maybe. What they have now? Psychic Puppetry. Alright. So seems like they did not have enough mana and enough copies of Puppetry. thanks to the Telltale Ward, we were able now to win because they required 2 extra mana to tap both my creatures. That's good. So we go for the second game with mm, the first game win. We are bringing in to cap with a Nihil Spellbomb, and we brought out a bunch of removal spells. I think it is safe to assume they might have cards like Relic of Progenitus. I don't know. But Snuff Out and cards like Annual or Hydroblast are bad. Unexpected Thanks is bad as well. So it's probably good to bring in cards that may be good to counter the interaction. So they may have Relic or a Mystic or Mystic, Murmuring Mystic. So maybe it is better to bring in a couple Snuff Outs and Annual to interact with those cards. We can eventually bring in my Mystics just because those are creatures, but to be honest, I believe those cards aren't very good. So I think I'm bringing in at least 3 copies of Annual and 2 Snuff Outs, so we can interact with both Relic and Murmured Mystic if that change might be happen. To be honest, the matchup is not bad if they don't have Giga Draws, but if they have Giga Draws, is very troublesome. Alright. Early all cards setting end. We have Ponder and a Shuffle effect, but then we have 5 lands, so I think it is safe to assume that we don't really want to keep this end. Now we have a decent starting end, and we can put on the bottom the Nihil Spellbomb. I mean, Nihil Spellbomb is not really good, but I assume it is better to keep Lorien over the Nihil Spellbomb, even though we can excite the graveyard if they try to combo off, and we try to excite the graveyard because it's not really worth the card. I'm not sure if I want to cast Force Spike here. I prefer to cast Force Spike on something more worth, like Merchant Scroll or Pieces of the Puzzle. So probably it's better to let them resolve the Brainstorm, then cast my Brainstorm and Totsukawa, so I'm able to speed up my creatures, and then cast by turn 3 Force Spike on something bot. Okay, there is a Stream of Thought. I suppose they just want to get rid of their top deck. I mean, Brainstorm plus Shuffle effect. They shuffle back. I tied another card. They cast the Brainstorm. Let's see if they want to interact with it. I suppose they don't really want to interact. Alright. Alright. We have a bunch of interaction. I think I'm going to put on the top island and island. I draw 1 island, and then in their end phase cycle first Lorien Villain, and then cast the Tsukawa. I can eventually shuffle by the main upkeep with a Lorien and get rid of 1 copy of Force Spike, but to be honest, I think I wanted to keep all my traction. So yeah, it is better to draw 1 land, play the land, pass the turn, and then try to cast the Grimmer Gambler later. Tron, they need to respect my interaction, so they can't really combo off yet. So they're trying to, I guess, set up their early game. Be honest, I suppose they're just waiting to draw Merchant Scroll or whatever. Alright, we had the Nihil Spellbomb, a Brainstorm, and a tapped land. I suppose Contaminated Aquifer here is the right play. We pass the turn. Let's see if they want to play something. Brainstorm. Maybe I should cast my Dispel, but I can keep my Dispel to counter eventually the I-Tide during my turn. If the cast appear through deeps in my end phase, I cast Force Pike, but I have another lower ability. So now they can cast pieces of the puzzle, not pieces, but a protein. And I'm going to cast Brainstorm in end phase, so I can eventually also cast my Gourmag Angler, or maybe the Analysis. They shuffle with Matter the Mix too. We're going to... Okay, there's a Psychic Puppetry. I'm casting Brainstorm. Alright. Oh. We're going to miss the land drop. Alright. 6 cards in my graveyard. They have 5 cards in hand that have a Psychic Puppetry. I suppose I should cast Cryptic Serpent. Or I can cast Nihil Spellbomb to cycle it. To be honest, we are not really well placed here. I suppose we can counter something with this spell. Yikes. Yeah, go for it. Pieces of the puzzle. My Force Spikes aren't really doing much here. Well, you know, not being able... Missing the land drop is probably the reason why I'm not doing anything. So with untap, attack for 6. I guess I'm supposed to not do anything now because they have a Night Tide. Alright, so Merchant Scroll. Not having Spell Pierce here is killing us. Spell Pierce is much better against the spell-based decks compared to Force Spike. This spell, okay, they're trying to come off next turn. Alright. Untap. The discard Peer. I land on the top, it's fine. Attack, 6 damage, that's fine. Alright, so I think we are kind of forced here to cast another creature. And I think I'm going to do that. So we now have little damage next turn. We don't let them have another turn. They can try to cast Puppetry and reach on my mana. So I'm casting Force Pack here. We probably are forced to... Ooh, it's not really easy here. Because they have their Tide. They also have Dispel. So if I cast my Dispel, they're casting Dispel back. Maybe we should tax their mana. I don't know. Yeah, we should tax their mana. Because they have to match mana. So letting them resolve I-Tide with 4 mana open is not really worth it. I'm casting Force Spike on their I-Tide, so unless they have another I-Tide, they're tapping another mana. So now they just have 4 mana. Alright, so why did you cast first this spell over I-Tide? That's surprising, I guess. But to be honest, now we just need to wait for the opponent. So if they have enough resources, enough cards, they can overcome my interaction. But they did not draw anything with the ideas amount, so another easy win after all. Alright, match number 3. We're starting first again because we are so much strong at Magic that sometimes you don't have a need to question if you are starting first or second. You exercise, we don't really have a decent hand here. After all, we are forced to choose between going down to 5 or keeping a mediocre 6 cards. And I guess we should keep this and Even though we don't really have a decent start, I think having the color and deep analysis might be good enough. Let's see what the opponent is playing. Forest, alright. What are you doing with the forest? You're casting a Cure Ranger, that's fine. We have answers for the Cure Ranger, eventually. So we're cycling, the lawyer will pick the contaminated aquifer. Draw one card. Pure Angler. Well, I guess I'm passing the turn. I don't know if the opponent is elves or spy or even waltz combo. So seems quite bad killing the Cure Ranger over any other creature. Gatekeeper Vine, right? Seems like the opponent is spy. So we can wait and cast the Snuff Out later in the game. A cantrip or a counter spell would be good. So another Snuff Out. Okay. There's no reason to kill yet the Queer. After all, they already have the Swamp in hand, so I'm not giving the info to my opponent that I have double Snuff Out in hand. So yeah, there's a Masked Bundle. And now we are casting the Snuff Out on the Queer after casting the Deep Analysis. Maybe they don't have the third land drop. Very slow start from my side of the game, but to be honest, we can do we can't do really much about our start since we choose keeping it very bad and compared to maybe worse and oh well anyway kill the X-Men Guardian. Our creature costs just 3 mana. I should choose between casting the penalties from my hand or from the graveyard, so I guess casting from the end is still better, so I can cast my creature later. Here, I think I should play Ice Tunnel, even though they can play the island to cast Mental Note in their turn. If I don't draw a mental land on the top of the line with the Mental Note or by my next turn, I'm kind of wasting the. Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if I don't draw a land, um, I still have the same amount of mana I would have by playing the untapped land now. Alright, there's a land. Terror costs just 2 mana, so I'm casting Mental Note first. Another land. I suppose that would be better to cast my spells, my creatures, my Mental Note over playing the tap of the land, because we wasted 1 mana by not playing the land. Alright, flashback deep analysis. Draw the counter spell. We have the counter spell for the Balustrade Spy, which is pretty strong. So if we have just one spy, we counter the spy, and then we have enough creatures to kill the opponent. But right now we don't really have much interaction and don't have much life, so we might lose to the creature, the bigger creature like Troll of the Chasm Doom, or even Generous Ant, right? Island, Tetsukawa, and Brainstorm. So Brainstorm here is really great because we also have a Tetsukawa on the top deck. So we attack with the Tolarian Terror, they taking 5 damage. We are playing Cryptic Serpent and Gurmag Angler. Then we have also enough mana to cast Brainstorm and Counter Spell. Very exciting, with a lot of stuff. We're keeping the deep analysis in the graveyard. We pass the turn. Two mana, 3 mana, latest Stampede. Alright, it resolves. If they have double spy, we're dead. Alright. Ooh. Even Lottery Giant from the end is very bad here. It can block. It can also deal 2 damage. So it can cast Snuff Out anymore. They don't have enough mana to cast to transmit the Dimir House Guard and cast double spy this turn. So I think they need to choose between casting Dimir House Guard or Ballistic Spy. They have just 6 mana. Maybe it's better to transmute so they can have double spy next turn. That would be a wise play. Let's see if they think about it. They cast the Dimir House Guard. Right? I suppose it is fine. Oh, that's interesting because they can block and transmute. I can cast my brainstorm. If I find a force spike, I can force spike the land grant. Not really great. Still fine, I guess. I'm not sure if this spell is good against them. But anyway. Oh, so they play 5 lands, not just 4. That's irrelevant. Right. I think we need to find something relevant now, like unexpected fangs or another counter spell. A bunch of lands. Alright, I think I don't need this spell in the contaminated aquifer. So metal note. Then we can cast another brainstorm. I can't really cast this spell since they can kill me with the Slaughter Giant. Too late for the force spike. They have so much mana that doesn't really matter. My creature. How much mana do I need here? I'm casting Angler and Cryptic Serpent. So that's an amount of 3 mana. So I don't need the island. Maybe I don't need yet the brainstorm. I'll attack with everything. They're very likely going to block with the Emir Asgard and sacrifice something to. Nope. No, well, to be honest, there's no reason to block with the Asgard, since you can block with another creature and you don't need to regenerate the Asgard. You can block with. Ah, okay, that's a clever play. So the blocking with the Asgard and the Masked Vandal and sacrificing the Masked Vandal with the Asgard. That's a really cool play. Alright, Cryptic Serpent. Hmm. So Ballister Spy 4 mana, Lotter Giant 7 mana. They have 5, 6, 10 mana. They can cast both the Giant and the Spy. They need another mana because they need 11 mana. But if they have maybe if they're casting first something else beside the giant, maybe it is better to leave the mana open. Well, to be honest, I believe it is still better to cast the angler. I suppose I can't really give my opponent so much time, so it is better to hope they don't really have anything relevant. So what you're doing, cast the wind away, sure. There souls. Oh, double spy. Alright, caretaker, that's cool. They have X-Men Guardian. Yeah, I haven't played around Winning Way or Lady Stampede into Double Spy. Anyway, we still have another two matches to try to win against them. As already said in the intro, the matchup is quite dire. After all, they have a bunch of creatures, they have interaction like Mesmeric Fiend, they can just not play the combo, so they play a sort of monsters gameplay, try to assault stuff and do other stuff. I can't even let them resolve a spy because they have double. Oh, they're casting Saddle Wildling? That's fine to me. Why not going for double spy? Maybe they don't have enough mana. X-Men Guardian? I'll cast my Pulse Spike on your X-Men Guardian for sure. Alright. I think that's best, the strongest Force Spike I ever cast ever. So they have one less blocker. I have 5 creature. If I find something relevant, I might be able to kill them right now. I mean, they have 13 life. If I found 2 Snuff Out or something similar, I may be able to kill them. Alright, Brainstorm, fetching a Totsukawa, casting the Totsukawa, and expected pairs, that's fine. So I can flashback Deep Analysis, and then get back 7 life. Yeah, I should do that. Another Terror. I think we aren't really going to win this game. Let me think. I can't really cast anything here beside Equine Decay. So if I cast Tatsukawa, find Equine Decay, they still have 3 blockers. So I'll just, yeah, that's not enough damage. So I'm hoping for them to block in a way that they're able to kill me. Supposedly they can think, hey, my opponent don't have lethal damage, so ouch, that's not enough, I guess. Alright, so I'm required to cast Unexpected Sphinx to not die from the Stagger Wildling, and then I hope the opponent doesn't have it. Doesn't really play around my stuff. To be honest, I think I'm dead. Well, if I cast Tetsukawa and find a Snuff Out, I can't even counter the spy. So at this point of the game, I say not being able to find a third copy of Snuff Out was hey, alright, okay. GG, I guess. Main deck Mesmeric Fiend for the kill. Alright, so we are bringing in Nihil Spellbomb. We don't have Envelope in the sideboard, so I suppose Cast Down is good. Snuff Out is quite decent. This spell is bad. Unexpected Things is bad as well. Need to cut another card. Should I cut Deep Analysis? Maybe, yeah. I don't really need so much card advantage. I prefer to have more interaction to not let enough creature on the battlefield. So, mulligan. Keep, I guess. Yeah, we have Snuff Out, we have a creature, we have a Brainstorm. A good starting, and I mean, I'm not worried too much about this skip. We are casting Brainstorm if you don't find the counter spell or whatever counter we may have in the top deck. They have a double land grant on turn 1. That's cool. Alright, so they have 6 cards in it. We draw a card. Totsukawa, that's fine. So they play the they have one forest in hand and other 5 cards. All right, so I'm very likely going to kill this early caretaker. They have a Gatekeeper Vine, Wind Away, another caretaker, Balustrade Spy. We are casting Sorcery Speed, Brainstorm, putting on top Deep Analysis, Contaminated Aquifer. Yeah. I cast the Snuff Out. So next turn they can't cast both the Gatekeeper Vine and the Caretaker. They're not going to cast the Winning Wave very likely. They're fetching another land. We cast Totsukawa, mill the Deep Analysis and the land. Totsukawa, target me. Lauren Villain on the top. Another Totsukawa. My Cryptic Serpent costs 3 mana. So it's probably good to cast the Serpent here. So I'm casting Ponder. Alright, let me think. Do I need another land? Do I need another creature? I'm casting now the Cryptic Serpent. They have 5 lands in their deck. So they can't really kill me next turn. So if I play here the Cryptic Serpent and then I cast again Serpent and Terror, I might be able to kill them in 2 turns. So it's probably for the better to keep all these creatures and then try to kill them in 2 turns. That's quite reasonable. So Cryptic Serp, I'm drawing last island because I'm fetching with the Lauren after drawing the Tolian Terror. So now they need to find something better. Alright, so win away. They draw a Caretaker, they draw an X-Men Guardian, a Spy, Generous Ant on Leader Stampede. Leader Stampede in the graveyard, Swamp in play. We draw the Tolian Terror. We shuffle with the Lower Village. Play a land. Play Crypt Serpent, Tolian Terror, attack for 6 damage, and now we wait for the opponent to kill me. Oh, well, to be honest, I have a nice follow-up thanks to deep analysis, so I can flashback my deep analysis and then eventually find something else relevant. We're going for Saga Wildling. I play a land, play X-Men Guardian. We have little damage, so they need to block with at least one creature. We draw a land, not really relevant. Flashback, deep analysis, draw to Lion Tell, not good. I think, yeah, we have enough cards in my graveyard, and I don't have any more deep analysis, so I think it's not the right call to cast that Skawa on them because they may have, if we mill them, one flashback spell, one Dredger Thought would be really painful. So it is better to cast Otsukawa on me, even though I can mill my Nihil Spellbomb or Gangler or whatever. If I draw double Snuff Out, would be cool. I didn't know anything relevant, so I think I'm kind of dead. Wow. Oh well, attack with everything. Recycle a card. No. Yeah, there's a General Ant. Yeah, we are pretty much dead here. No interaction was quite bad. Alright, I suppose I should cast Brainstorm if I draw Snuff Out. I killed the X-Wing Guardian. Now Snuff Out. That's game over. I think I can maybe let them on top do stuff, wait for them to kill me. But to be honest, they just have free life, so I suppose it is better to just consider and go to the next match. After all, they are forced to try to combo off. Right now, they have double. They have so much mana thanks to X-Wing Guardians, and there's no reason to wait for them to untap things due to the presence of the X-Wing Guardian, so they can generate so much mana that it's always better to kill the X-Wing Guardian right now. Maybe I was wrong by casting the Snuff Out so early in the game, but without casting the Snuff Out, I was not able to cast the Cryptic Serpent by turn 3. So, in my opinion, we weren't good at drawing the other removal spell I have in my deck after the first Snuff Out. I mean, echoing the key right now doesn't do much. Alright, next. Alright, so fourth match, probably in the previous match I did not my best, so I'll try to have better draws now. Well, to be honest, most times against those kind of decks, really, what really matters is how many interaction you draw against them. So let's see if I'm able to do something better compared to what I do right now. Alright, so without knowing what your opponent is playing, I think it is good to keep the contaminated aquifer. We can keep on top Echoing Decay and the island. So then we can choose between drawing those cards or rather casting Totsukawa to mill the cards. That's my turn 1. Pass the turn. Alright. What do you have, opponent? What do you have, opponent? Another spike combo. Alright, so that's our sort of revenge match, I guess. They have turn 1 Queer Ranger. They don't have another land. I think I'm going to cast Totsukawa. After all, the Echoing Decay is just too slow. We have the Snuff Out on the Queer Ranger. So now they're kind of wasting one turn to cast Sagu Wildling. They're casting double Sagu Wildling. Right, first Sagu, pass the turn. Wow, I was expecting them to cast another Sagu Wildling. I'm curious. I do wonder why they did not. I think I can cast Sorcery Speed Brainstorm. Alright, Deep Analysis and Island on top. Cast Island. Cast Island. I mean, play the island. You can't really cast the lands. Now we know they have Winning Way, Battlement, another Winning Way, Spy, Sagu Wildling. We're likely going to counter the Overgrowth Battlement. They play Swamp. We cast Totsukawa, know the Deep Analysis on the land. So now we have 7 instant or sorcery spell in my graveyard. What do we have then? Why are you keeping me waiting in my upkeep? Do you have any interaction? Do you have Fairy Macabre in the main deck? We draw a Brainstorm and a Cryptic Serpent. Serpent costs 3 mana. I think I'm going to cast my Ponder here. So next turn I can choose between doing other stuff. Okay, that's a Tolarian Tail and the counter spell. Next turn we are going to cast Tail and leave the mana open to cast counter spell. So mental note last. Counter spell, Tolarian Tail. So if they have Mesmeric Fiend on the top deck, they're exiling my Tolarian Tail over the counter spell. We are casting Sorcery Speed Brainstorm because we need just 2 mana to cast the counter spell, so I can find another land. Alright, another land grant on top, Wind Away. Wow, a lot of cards. They play the forest, cast Sacred Wielding. They have a forest in hand. They cast Surly Caretaker. We draw one card. So they played one winning way. They have 7 cards in hand. Do they have 3 copies of winning way in hand? Wow. Yeah, seems like. Alright, Brainstorm, I guess. Yeah, it's better to cast Brainstorm. We dig 1 extra card compared to Deep Analysis. I think I'm going to cast Lorien here over. Yeah, Lorien is better than Deep Analysis, than Tetscawa Mental Note. I could cast Tetscawa or Mental Note, but I think I still want to have a line drop for sure. So I'm drawing. I prefer to cycle with the Lorien. I can cast my Brainstorm next turn eventually. And I also want to cast my Tolarian Terror to keep pressure on the battlefield. I can eventually cast my Brainstorm in their end phase. Not really clever, maybe. I don't know. It depends much on what they're going to do now. It is weird to me because they have 5 lands instead of 4. Mm. I'm forced to let the winning way solve. They have an X-Men Guardian. Queer Ranger is fine. X-Men Guardian. Okay, I'm forced to counter the X-Men Guardian. I probably should have countered the Q Ranger. No, it's fine. It's fine. They discard the Lottery Giant. We draw a Loner Reveal. So I'm casting first the Deep Analysis. If I draw Snuff Out, I can kill one of their stuff. Alright, third copy of Counterspell is good. Brainstorm. 2 lands. I suppose I can attack and keep the terror and play the land. So I'm putting on top island and lower village. Play island. Play land. And clientele. I think they're not going to block. Thankfully, we did draw the third copy of Counterspell, but without having any envelope in my deck, I fear the post-sideboard game is. Oh, well, you have the Mesmeric Fin. Yeah, sure. Why you people always have those pesky Mesmeric Fins? After all, you play just 4 copies of them. And for sure, you have enough mana to cast both Mesmeric Fin and Balustrade Spy. I'm really pissed about that, because yeah, I was able to draw the counterspell, but you did draw better than me, supposedly. Well, to be honest, we still have enough. We still have another 2 games to try to win. Yeah, I'm kind of pissed by them drawing the Mesmeric Fin. Alright. Alright. Maybe I should keep the coin decay to kill the fins. I don't know. This spell is for sure bad. I don't know if I want to keep another deep analysis. Maybe I can burn out the coin decay. Yeah, decay is very bad. It can kill only Mesmeric Fin, but I prefer having another copy of deep analysis instead. Starting first, we have 4 Spike, and 2 Lorien, and 2 tapped lands. That's a very bad starting hand, and that's way much better. Right, so here I'm keeping this end. I think I don't wanna keep my Tolarian Terror because I have enough creatures in my deck, so I can put the Tolarian Terror on the bottom and then still be able to find another enough threat to kill my opponent. So I'm going to cast, I think, Nihil Spellbomb. So have an answer to their combo. They now require to have the Masked Vandal. Yeah, of course they're keeping the Masked Vandal against me because they need to play around Nihil Spellbomb. But to be honest, I think I should be able to draw an answer to their Masked Vandal, whatever. What hand did you keep at 7? Why are you... why do you don't have a land drop on turn 1? What is happening? Did you pass the turn? Well, I think we will discover that in a couple of turns. Ponder. Alright. Should I cast a Ponder? Probably, yeah. Angler is not really what I wanna draw here, but Brainstorm and Ponder are good as well, so I'm putting the Angler on top, Brainstorm, Ponder, whatever is fine, don't use the Ponder ability. We have Ponder on the top, so I'm casting Brainstorm and then cast Kawa. Right, what do you have here? Caretaker, right. They probably have a Masked Vandal on the top, so they choose to discard to be able to then exile my Nihil Spellbomb with the Masked Vandal. I guess I'm drawing the Ponder. I'm milling the Angler. I can technically shuffle, which is probably better. Yeah, we have a Lorien revealed. I draw the Lorien. I don't know if I wanna cast my Snuff Out yet, but I suppose I'm kind of forced. So now they have one less mana and they have one less creature to cast to flashback their turn. If they have the Masked Vandal, I can kill the Vandal and then exile the graveyard, wasting a lot of resources. But to be honest, it's kind of worth a couple of mana cast Cyber Wildwing, so they don't have the second land. Probably they missed the land drop because they maybe have misclicked. Counterspell is good, I guess. Cast down, maybe not what. I think I'm not going to keep the Totsukawa and the Mental Note. I'm shuffling with Lure. I'll pick one island, play the island, pass the turn. If I have a Mesmeric Fin, I can let a Fin or Soul, so I can, I suppose, cast down it. Well, to be honest, they're forced to play. Yeah, that's X-Bang Guardian's fine. I'm not sure if I should cast Snuff Out or cast down because due to Mesmeric Fin. But to be honest, I prefer to use my mana now. So next turn maybe I can tap out. Yeah, that's fine. I'm tapping the turn. Yeah, I don't really want to play anything else now. So I leave the mana open. Playing dragon. Right. What do we have in hand? They have a Mesmeric Fiend, Balustrade Pie, Number of Battleman. Okay, I think I'm kind of forced to leave the mana open to cast Counterspell on the Masked Vandal or on the Mesmeric Fiend. I haven't thought it is good to cast Counterspell on the Gatekeeper because by doing that, I'm then able to prevent them to cast the Mesmeric Fiend. Because they don't have... yeah, they have the Masked Vandal, but they don't have anything else. So I'm tapping, drawing one land. That's not good. I can attack with my tail. And then I think I'm going to kill the Ogre of Battlement. I don't really have so many good targets. I'm also kind of forced to crack the spell bomb here. I think not. I prefer to force my opponent to cast the Masked Vandal. So yeah, still losing the spell bomb, but at least I'm forcing the opponent to cast an answer to the spell bomb itself. 4 mana, 3 mana, X-Men Guardian. They draw another creature, another X-Men Guardian. That's painful. I can cast the Vandal next turn and crack my relic. Right. I'm going to excite the Giga. Serpent. Ball Spike. Let's go Cryptic Serpent. I kind of misplayed this Nihil Spellbomb. Probably, yeah, supposedly that would be better to cast to crack the Nihil Spellbomb with the upside of drawing the Cryptic Serpent. The casting Mesmeric Fiend here, right? Okay, sure, exile my Force Spike. If you don't have the Swamp, you could really cast Balustrade Spy. And I have enough answers for your chess, I guess. You're forced to block, so you're casting the Mesmeric Fiend, the Masked Vandal. They can kill me, yeah, because if I don't draw anything relevant now, I'm dead. For sure, yeah, why not? Not cracking my Nihil Spellbomb that turn was enough to die, because they draw an X-Wing Guardian on the top. To be honest, they still have one land in their deck. So unless they have a good top deck, or they are able to mill the second, yeah, I guess they need to mill to no fucking way get Creeper Vine on the top deck. Okay, I think I am a really bad player. Uh, I don't know. I guess I suppose I should have played better. I mean, they had better top deck compared to me, but my my main mistake was killing the Overgrowth Battlement over the X-Men Guardian. I choose to play around or lead a Stampede on the top deck, or yeah, lead a Stampede on the top deck. Uh, I misplayed mostly the Nihil Spellbomb. That was a really bad misplay from my side. But to be honest, I think they draw so good that probably even without my misplay, they were still able to win. I don't know. I don't know. So what are you going to do, my opponent? Turn 1, Mountain Epicure, okay? I'm going to cycle the Lord Village, fetch the Black Land, and play Island on second turn, so I can cast what counterspell and brainstorm at Otsukawa eventually. So I have a decent turn 2, even if they don't play anything. I don't know what flavor of burn or relic wins they're playing. They missed the second land drop. That's cool. Okay, brainstorm. I don't need Snuff Out against them, and I have enough lands here, so I'm going to bin the second copy of Lorville. Yeah, that's a too many tapped lands. Yeah, for sure. But I think we are still not going to miss too many land drops. Yeah, we draw a land. So they crack they cast Lava Dart. That's fine to me. I think uh, missing the second land drop and hitting a Lava Dart and not cracking the Blood Token to be in the Lava Dart was a mistake. I mean, after all, Lava Dart, you don't really want to cast the card against. Yeah, maybe I could be Dimir first, but to be honest, the still not doing the card play by not cracking the blood token and missing one land drop, in my opinion. Also, I have 5 cards in my graveyard, so I'm casting the Cryptic Serpent and I pass the turn. I think I don't really want to cast my Angler. I prefer to cast the Lion Terror next turn. Yeah, I'm wasting my mana if they're not going to play anything in their turn, but it's still better to leave the mana open to counter some relevant cards like Robert Price discarding Stinky Snaker if they are mono Red Madness or Agatha's Knife. So yeah, go forward for my face with those lava dots. I have 2 copies of Unexpected Thanks in my deck. So if I draw Unexpected Thanks, I think I'll be quite happy. Fatalist Looting, that's fine to me. You don't really have so many cards in your deck. Even if you discard double Fury Temper, it's still fine to me. They do really have double Fury Temper. I'm quite surprised, if I must say. I mean, they miss a bunch of land drops, but they do have enough good cards on the top deck. So I'm going down to 4. I think I'm not going down to 6, because if they have to snuff out, I'm losing the game. So, damn it. Where are my counter spells? So I'm attacking with my Cryptic Serpent. Play the Tolarian Tail. I'm not going to play around. Not so did not play it around anything earlier, or maybe they played looting, discarding a bunch of stuff. I did not draw any cantrip, any interaction. So if they have a Gutter's Knife, that's 6 damage. If they got the Knife and Fire Blast, they got me. Okay, that's fine to me. No Fire Blast. Right. We have a slight chance to win this spell. We attack with everything. Or not. We attack with everything, they're blocking with Epicure, keeping the Gather's Knife on the battlefield. I'm not able to cast the Gurmag Angler. I'm attacking with just 2 creatures. Yeah, there's no reason to attack with everything. We are keeping the mana open to cast this spell. We take all the damage. Tap it land, pass the turn. No, wait, I forgot I could. Yeah, I probably should fetch the island, so to cast the Gurmag Angler. Yeah, that's a misplay from my side. Demand answer sacrificing the token. Alright. I suppose I'm forced to cast this spell on your demand answer. I did not have any Fire Blast earlier. Now I'm expecting you to not have any instant. Yeah. Epicure. Alright, I'm dead. They have double Lava. Yeah, even if they don't attack, they got me because they have the Lava. They had the Epicure. Uter Snape is still good against Dimir. Yeah, I weren't able to draw any interaction after all. So Deep Analysis and Snuff Out are bad. Cast down Unexpected Thanks are good. Fire Blast is good. Maybe I'm supposed to bring in his Spellbomb to counter the Snaker. I'm not sure. I think I'm cutting 1 copy of Cryptic Serpent. The creatures are not really needed in this kind of matchup. I prefer to kill the creatures of my opponent rather than killing them earlier. Alright, medium looking and not very good, but at least we have Brainstorm and Skawa and DP off, enough mana, so we can try to do something. No ponder here, maybe they want to play around my interaction on turn 1, or maybe not. Feel free to not play around anything, I guess. What are you going to discard here? Double Snake. The discarding Grab the Prize Lava Dart. That's new to me. I mean, Grab the Prize is probably their best card. Alright, alright, alright. I'm going to draw 2 Totkawa, 1 Totkawa, I mean. And in their turn, I can play both Force Spike and Totkawa, or maybe counter spell and yeah, EPQ. I think I'm going to counter the EPQ. I don't really wanna let your opponent resolve this creature. If they want to cast Power Blast on their EPQ, that's fine to me. So we go. I think I'm going to draw the Totkawa because if I don't draw a land, I prefer to cast Ponder to try to find a land. There's no land after all. There's no land. So any under, shuffle, draw tap at the land. That's the reason why we play Ponder. Ponder is good. Yeah, I even thought we lost the, I guess, at the selection from Brainstorm. That doesn't really matter, I guess. So they have another Fatalist looting. Let's see if they are able to draw land. They have indeed a land, and they're discarding another, grab the prize, and pass the turn. That's quite surprising. Alright, I guess I'm supposed to cast Totkawa on me here. If they cast Power Blast on my Totkawa, I'm really happy because I know, I already have another Ponder in Totkawa, and it is better to cast Red Elemental Blast on my creature over my Totkawa. No selection from those that Totkawa, so quite good for me. I think I'm going to keep the counter spell and eventually mill those 2 lands. Yeah, that's fine. So Aquifer bottom, Island top, counter spell top, use Ponder ability, nope. Play the Ice Tunnel past the top. If they perhaps have a Gutter Snipe, we can counter it with the False Spike. They have a bunch of mana. They have the Gutter Snipe. Alright, I suppose they have a Power Blast, so it is better to force the Power Blast on Counterspell over than the Hydro Blast or whatever, so they don't deal damage to me. They have 1 card left in, and they go for the selection with the Totkawa, mill 2 lands, draw maybe something which is not a land, and then play to Iron Terror. We have the Force Spike, pretty useless here. Let me resolve the Totkawa, please. Please. Please, let me resolve the Totkawa. You know, can't really do much. You have Lava Dart. Lava Dart doesn't do much. Island. Another. Oh, there's an Hydroblast. There is an Hydroblast, so we cast the Hydroblast, target the Gutter Snipe, kill the Gutter Snipe. Play the Tolerant Tile. Thankfully, my opponent played Fatalist Looting and discarded the Garbage Prize instead of casting Garbage Prize, discarding Fatalist Looting. Because, Garbage Prize is good, Fatalist Looting is bad in this matchup. So now we are forced to draw better than an opponent. Alright. Do you have the 3rd copy of Pyro? Nope. And now we attack. You're free to deal some damage to me with your Cassie. I mean, we're trading 5 damage for 1 damage. That's fine to me. Flashback looting, right? What are you going to discard? Mountain. They have a lot of mountains, I guess. We draw 1 card. Draw a coin decay. Not really good. Attack for 5, cast Learn Tell. I have so much life that maybe I'm not really forced to kill the Kessig. But since they have the Kessig on the battlefield, they can block with the Kessig. So I prefer to cast Hydroblast. Maybe we are forcing them to cast Pyroblast since they prefer maybe to keep the Kessig on the battlefield. And maybe they have a Pyroblast, but they choose to not kill to not counter my Terra. Let's see. Right. So now, what are you going to do? Grab the prize, discard Fatalist Looting. That's fine, I guess. I have lethal damage. If you have a creature, I can kill it or force spike it. And now we're going to play game 3. And that's good because, we have a lot of cool stuff we can play around them. But we don't have the lands here, so take a mulligan. Put Gurmagangler on the bottom. Turn 1 island, for sure. No, Voldaren Epicure on turn 1, that's good to me. We're passing the turn. We have Hydroblast if they have a grabber prize. Lightning Bolt target me. This is the way you lose this matchup. Right, they're passing the turn. I think I'm not going to cast Brainstorm yet. I don't want to tap out during their turn. I prefer to leave the mana open because they're not putting any pressure. Well, they're just casting a bunch of lightning bolts. That's fine. They're not doing anything. Nothing relevant, at least. They pass the turn. Right. Brainstorm. If you have Pyroblast and you counter my Brainstorm, I will be quite happy. Okay, let's think. I think I want at least 3 lands. So I'm going to shuffle with the Lorian, 1 Contaminate Aquifer, and 1 Mental Note. I'm cycling the Lorian with grab 1 island, draw, play island. Haven't thought I can play double counterspell next turn. I prefer to keep my mana open to cast both Pyroblast and counterspell. So if they have Grab the Prize and a Pyroblast to protect the Grab the Prize, I can counter both cards. Free Temper, that's fine. You're casting the Fairy Temper. I'm going to cast Tutkawa, target me. If I draw a 4 spike, I'm casting the 4 spike of Ice Blast in the graveyard. Alright, so grab the prize, counter the grab the prize, let the Fairy Temper solve. We have 5 spells in the graveyard. Okay. They have 3 cards in hand. It is quite good because, yeah, they were able to cast 3 copies of Lightning Bolt, more or less. But now they don't have so many cards in hand, so we can wait for them to do something relevant. We can wait to cast my creature. It is good to wait because maybe they have Pyroblast, and maybe we can. Well, we have 5 mana, so it is good to cast here the Cryptic Serpent. We can let them destroy the Serpent with Pyroblast because we have another couple to learn tasks, and it is better to force them to waste their mana during their turn. So they kept both Lava Dart and Lightning Bolt against me, which is quite surprising. And also, they cast all their burn spells in my turn, forcing me to counter those cards. But to be honest, I think I'm fine. Yeah, time to play another tell. Do they have Pyro? They have the Pyro. I'm going to cast my counter spell. So if they don't have another Pyro, I can resolve my second copy of Terror, which is quite good. Fire draw. Alright. Red Elemental Blast. Well, to be honest, it's fine to me. They have one card in hand. I have another 2 terrors in my hand. So unless they have a relic of Progenitors on the top deck, it's better to leave them open and wait. Because, I have so many creatures that wasting those counter spell on my creatures is kind of pointless at this point of the game. I were able to draw another Cryptic Serpent on top deck, so I suppose not countering their Power Blast on my tail was the right call. So we now have enough damage to kill the opponent in 2 turns, and they consider the game because I have 10 lives left. They have just 1 card in hand. They have 15, not 16 damage on the battlefield. So they can't really kill my creature without Power Blast, and they don't have any other Power Blast, and they wasted their burn spells on my Gurmag Angler because in game 3 they seems like they kept a very bad hand because they wasted so many cards to deal damage to me, which is not really a great call. So easy game because the opponent had a very weaky game in game 3. But to be honest, we did nothing relevant besides waiting for the opponent to tap. So the opponent did not have any relevant play. We had the interaction. We forced 1 Power Blast on Clarentel, and that was enough to kill them. So I'm quite pleased by the result. We indeed lost to Spy Combo. I haven't thought we are playing a Decklist that is supposedly better than Mono Blue Terror against Spy Combo, but as you were able to see, I wasn't able to draw my Snuff Out to kill the creatures when I needed Snuff Out, and I wasn't able to draw. Probably I misplayed his Spellbomb in the second match against Spy Combo, but the opponent had, I suppose, decent top decks. So I think losing to a bad matchup because the opponent drew better than me is still fine. After all, the matchup is bad, and you can't really always win. So this league was fine for a YouTube video. I suppose Mono Blue is still better even out we play interaction for the graveyard. As I already said, we have better interaction than his Spellbomb against decks like Spy, so a Rotten Reunion or Coffin Purge. I choose to not play those cards because I was expecting more Terror than Spy, and we faced 0 copy of Terror and 2 copies of Spy Combo. So for that reason, maybe we'll lose. But to be honest, it is what it is. So see you for the next video next